Today is February the 2nd, Saturday, and on Thursday I went to go watch the Kyogen of Errors. And this is my commentary. My initial response, well, my first response to this play is that it was rather confusing. The play itself is very confusing because there are two twins who have servants who also happen to be twins. And the way that the Kyogen of Errors decided to do this was have one actor be both the twins. And occasionally they would wear masks to represent which twin they were. However, the thing was that it was only occasionally that they wore these masks. So they could be playing person A and person B. That's say person A and person B are twins. They would be playing person A without a mask, and then they play person B with a mask, but then later on play person B without a mask. And it was rather confusing, so unless you could fully understand what the Japanese was saying, which the language was less traditional Japanese, but even then it was very hard to follow occasionally, and I suppose the confusion is part of the play. It is an element of the play that is, well, it's practically a theme, and I think conveying that to the audience is good, but the thing is, the plot line is confusing enough to, it is confusing enough, and therefore it doesn't need to be any more confusing. Now, at the beginning, the minute I entered the stage, the actors were dressed all in black, and then they had these red sort of devil masks, and they would greet us and say "Yaya Koshiya" over and over. I researched it. It's been shown on NHK before as just a poem or a thing from the Kyogen of Errors, and it basically means that how confusing things are, yeah, basically that's what it is. And there's and they introduced the whole poem at the very beginning, and anyway, these people greeted us and kept saying it, and it was just very good because it created the atmosphere for the audience. So by the time the audience sat down and began watching the play, they were already into it. There was no need for a huge introductory scene to set the mood. It was already there, and I thought that was very useful. Also, later on, they proved to be still very good in terms of physical theater. They're very statuesque. They tended to represent objects a lot, or just sort of people who stood by, and they were very together. They were very funny, and they hardly said any words at all. All they said really was "Yaya Koshiya," and they were still funny. All they said. They were very likable. One example that I can come up with is towards the very beginning, they took a projector and projected "Yaya Koshiya" across in English, and then when it came up, they were turning this way, and then they saw it come up in front of them, and they did this exaggerated sort of "wow." It sounded kind of like a god just appeared, and it was cute, it was funny, it was very likable. Now, another favorite character is the Taro Kaja is very popular in the Kyogen most of the time is probably the most likable character most of the time in other Kyogen, and this, although personally I liked the sort of chorus little people at the beginning of the play more, the Tarokaja was definitely likable as well. He was exaggerated, he was just, there was a sense of respecting his master, but there was also sort of a bit of an attitude, I suppose. For example, he was being sort of harassed by the two, the wife and the maid of the wife, or the friend of the wife, and he was being sort of pulled around. He's explaining his situation and saying, "I'm sorry, but I don't understand, blah 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 blah." Idiot. And in Japanese culture, you don't really do that, so I suppose that's an explanation for why it was humorous, but I definitely saw it as funny. And when the Tarokaja often got beaten a lot in this play, but when he did, the Lord, or his master, would grab him by the ear or by the shoulder, and he would sort of extend his arms and legs out and sort of hop on one foot, and all these exaggerated movements that you often see in the Kyogen, but it caught my eye. It definitely does. It's not something you normally see, so I suppose that's why it caught my eye, or perhaps it's just traditional Kyogen, but it was an element that you're not going to forget. Also, the Tarokaja's speech was very well done. He spoke often faster than his master, with more levels of intonation, and the way he spoke was in a very humorous way. It's very commonly heard. It had a slight dialect to it, and often in Japan, any character with a dialect often implies a humorous character or a bit stupid character. So, yes, I think that's part of the reason why he used that, or perhaps it was just simply how the script was. I'm not sure, but I think it was a good idea to use this kind of dialect.